Max Verstappen, the reigning champion, has had the team's support throughout his career. Red Bull is getting ready to improve its vehicle with a new engine in an effort to give its drivers the greatest tools possible to compete in light of its success in the current season. What specifics are there about the new engine Red Bull is working on? Stay tuned till the end of the video to learn more. Red Bull has reached an agreement to take over Honda's power unit project starting in 2022 as a result of the Japanese manufacturer's decision to leave Formula One at the conclusion of this year. With new restrictions slated to take effect in 2025, Red Bull has ambitious ambitions to develop a totally new engine. Red Bull is making a large investment in the powertrain project, matching the amount it spent when it originally overtook the Jaguar team at the end of 2004. While Red Bull has the resources and dedication to complete the project successfully, Brown believes that a team building its own engine has certain dangers. "I think their decision is very, very brave," said Brown. "I think it definitely could be successful. Red Bull is a great racing organization with lots of resources. But I think, had the engine freeze not taken place, I'm not sure they would have taken on the project because it would just require tons of continued development resources that would probably push that over the edge of being fiscally feasible. So I think it was good that we got to a place where the rules are slowing down the spend." Brown believes it won't be simple to manage Red Bull's commitment to competing against the power of large manufacturers like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Renault. "It's not without risks," he said. "I think bringing on an organization like that with hundreds of employees, that's a lot of work to add to your plate." That being said, they appear to be hiring some very talented people. According to Brown, the only thing that made the project feasible were the special circumstances surrounding Honda's departure, which provided Red Bull with a ready-built engine from the start. For the time being, he believes it's unlikely that McLaren will explore developing its own power unit. Because of the way they were able to take over an existing engine and lots of IP and infrastructure, that's made it much more cost-effective than starting from scratch, added Brown. "I don't see McLaren doing engines anytime soon, because I don't think Red Bull would have moved into the engine space had this opportunity to take off where Honda left off presented itself." The partnership between Red Bull Racing and Porsche previously appeared precarious, but with Helmut Marko's comments, it now appears that it is totally off the table. Christian Horner emphasizes that Red Bull still plans to become an engine producer while appearing to support his colleagues' remarks. Due to Porsche's desire to acquire a 50% stake in Red Bull, Horner has already voiced his reservations about the potential partnership. Horner worries that as a result, Red Bull will become less distinctive. Additionally, the relationship with Honda has grown stronger as a result of Honda's explicit declaration that it will continue to support Red Bull through the year 2026. Red Bull has options because Honda has also stated that it is thinking about returning to Formula One once the new engine restrictions are introduced in 2026. The preference, which already has everything in place, is still to create one's own engine under the name Red Bull Powertrains. Red Bull Racing has established its own engine program with Red Bull Powertrains, and Audi will follow suit in 2026. However, because the German team has very little expertise in F1 engineering in terms of power sources, it is likely that they would look for professionals from other teams. Red Bull Powertrains acquired over 50 Mercedes personnel, including prominent figures like Ben Hodgkinson, Steve Blewett, and Omid Mostagim. Mercedes understands how painful it is to have so many employees depart at once, but Wolff believes Mercedes will not bear the brunt of Audi's arrival into Formula One. So far, Mercedes has kept all its employees on board. "We haven't lost anyone to Audi, but there will undoubtedly be situations where Mercedes or ex-Mercedes people will go to Audi," Wolff is quoted as saying by motorsport-total.com. The Mercedes team boss speaks of a free market and accepts that such things happen. The Austrian is not too worried and states that people are also being attracted. "We just don't issue a press release every time." Audi has just declared that it will develop engines in motorsport's premier class beginning in 2026. But the goal is to launch a fully owned team at the same time. The next Formula One power units are expected to arrive in 2025 or 2026, and Red Bull team manager Christian Horner has stated that they may be able to develop their own. Red Bull is putting up their own infrastructure to keep manufacturing those power units, and it may even wind up providing another team on the grid if the need arises. The new generation of power units is set to arrive in 2026. However, it is commonly assumed that they will be pushed back to 2025. So, rather than returning to being a consumer, Horner believes it is only natural for Red Bull to make its own. It needs to be a long-term view because obviously the investment into the facilities to gear up for this is quite significant, he explained. you've both got a short-term scenario of the existing regulations, and then of course whatever the new regulations are. We need to be in a position to take that on as well. We will have a facility capable of designing and operating the next generation of engines with a facility that will be invested within here. And like with the present engines, Horner is open to collaborating with an interesting partner if the chance arises with the new PUs. If an exciting partner comes along, then of course it would make sense to look at it very seriously, whether that be an OEM or another type of partner, a battery manufacturer or whatever. It really depends on what the engines are, he explained. Of course, what we will need to understand is what are those new regulations. Obviously, the sooner the better for everyone. But one assumes from the latest discussions with the FIA that it is likely to be a combustion engine. There's going to be probably 100% sustainable fuels. There will probably be a slightly bigger emphasis on the energy recovery system, so the topography of what the engine is going to be isn't dramatically removed from where we are, it's just evolved. Therefore, the facility that we put in place for the current engines will have the relevance of the course to the future engines. Honda will continue to provide technical assistance to Red Bull in running its Formula One power units until the existing engine restrictions are altered. Despite propelling Max Verstappen to the world title, Honda, which became Red Bull's power unit supplier in 2019, officially exited F1 at the end of last season. Red Bull Powertrains has received cooperation from Honda Racing Corporation in preparing power units for the 2022 season, and they have developed their own power unit production plant at their Milton Keynes headquarters. That support contract was set to expire at the end of the 2023 Formula One season. However, Red Bull and Honda have already reached an agreement to extend the contract for the following 2 campaigns. Red Bull's partnership with Honda has been an incredibly successful one, and we are pleased that this will continue until the end of the current era of the FIA's power unit regulations in 2025, said team principal Christian Horner. With 9 races left this year, Red Bull leads the Constructors' Championship by 93 points, while Verstappen has an 80-point lead in the drivers' standings. The team is pursuing a deal with Porsche to produce a power unit for F1's new regulations in 2026. Honda ceased official F1 development work at the end of last season, including the construction of Red Bull's 2022 power unit, which must be converted from E5 to E10 gasoline. The E10 fuel is a blend of 90% unleaded gasoline and 10% ethanol that is intended to minimize carbon dioxide emissions. Honda stated in their first announcement that the new Red Bull Powertrain subsidiary will purchase entire Honda power units with full engineering assistance at F1 tracks. Following that plan, once Red Bull Powertrains was up and running, they would produce engines utilizing Honda's parts at Red Bull's Milton Keynes factory in 2023, 24, and 25. Simultaneously, Red Bull would be building its own technology in order to be self-sufficient by 2026, in compliance with F1 rules that take effect in 2026. Red Bull's Helmut Marko has confirmed that Honda's change in plans will ensure Red Bull and AlphaTauri will continue to receive engine support from the Japanese company until 2025. Red Bull Powertrains can focus on their own project for the 2026 plan, while Honda supplies engines for Red Bull and AlphaTauri's F1 cars until then, removing any quality control concerns. The Milton Keynes-based firm is more likely to increase its own engine competence over the following 4 years. And if that infrastructure is put in place to ensure that it continues to supply a competitive power unit, it sees a road to going even further and developing its own engine when the new hybrid engines arrive. Helmut Marko told Motorsport.com exclusively that the key to what happens is whether the new engines, which might arrive in 2025, are inexpensive enough for Red Bull to justify the expenditure. If the hints become true that the new engine is much simpler in design, that the MGU-H is eliminated, and that it remains innovative but the annual cost limit is somewhere around 50 million, then it's no longer such a complex issue at the current engine, he explained. That means you could then do the development for such an engine with the paraphernalia we will have at Milton Keynes. Marko responded bluntly when asked whether this implied a custom Red Bull engine. Correct. Whether on its own or in cooperation, that's a matter of negotiation then, I would say. Is Red Bull capable of building its own engines going forward? Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of our incredible videos. Keep an eye out for the next video. Bye for now.